Hey brother, it's Sunday night, September 25th, 10:49 p.m. And I've got a user interface to show you. And, well, it's a placeholder user interface. And a rough inventory system. But before that, just wanted to say Artsy Fartsy Friday was fantastic. That was so freaking cool. I saved the tutorial you linked me to for later. Much later, since I gotta complete this game before I think about using that, but yeah, that was really cool. Alrighty, as you can see, I've got a basic graphical user interface. You can see those little blobs on the bottom, which represent item slots. There are 9 of them for numbers 1 through 9 on your keyboard. I also got this little indicator when you hover over usable or takeable items. Makes it feel like a real game. And yeah, I've got it so that you can put items in your inventory, press the number needed to select them, and then use them. You can use them with the right and left mouse buttons. The right mouse button throws the objects, whereas the left uses it. In the case of this mystery cube, it changes color, and that's it. After you've thrown an item, you can, of course, pick it up again, use it again, throw it again. In this case, an extremely short distance. The phone, which will be a vital object in the game, right now drops cubes from the sky, just to demonstrate item use. It won't do that in the real game, probably. Don't rule anything out. And you can throw it even farther than the cube, which is good because the cube goes a very short distance right now. I might want to edit that. Each item has a set of attributes, and one of those is how far you can throw it. Right now there are a few things I need to work out, polish. The color of the object isn't actually stored right now, so as you can see when I select these, the color is gray when it should be green, brown, blue, I don't know, several colors. Anyway, I also worked on basic and environment interaction, in this case, pressing a button. Wait for it. Boom! Holographic cube! Ain't that futuristic and cool and uncharacteristic of the actual game? Yeah, it's incredible. Anyway, I wanted to show you like something that would actually be in the game, like opening a door or something, but to do that I need to know a little bit of basic animation, which I won't know until next week. In fact, I'm planning on devoting tomorrow to basic 3D modeling and a little bit of animation maybe. Anyway, that's what I've worked in today. Let's talk about how I did it. A little, sort of an abridged version of how I did it. Alright, so the way it works right now, there's a ray being casted from the user's vision cone, constantly. If that ray intersects an object that is tagged as takeable, usable, or grabbable, I haven't actually implemented grabbable, don't worry about that right now, it'll give a little indicator that press E to take or to use. And then if the player presses that key, if it's a takeable object, its collider will be disabled, so it can't collide with objects. Its gravity will be disabled, so it isn't affected by gravity. That's pretty self-explanatory. And force will be added from its position to the player's position, so that'll go flying towards the player and look as if it's being grabbed. That's actually not what's happening. What's actually happening is that when the player tries to take an item, that item flies right past them to oblivion, but is destroyed within a certain amount of seconds. Maybe it's 0.3 right now? I'm not sure, I'd have to double check. Before the item is destroyed, a copy of it is saved to this big weird cube space. I do this so that I'll store the object somewhere in the game world and therefore have a reference to it so I can copy the object whenever the player selects that item from their inventory. Only one copy will be stored here, and that copy will be destroyed once the player throws away all of that type from their inventory. Now, what I should have done is created an array, say in my game controller object, and put all prefabs in that array, and then have a separate array for the player's inventory, and then move the references over as needed. What I did do was, in retrospect, what I did doesn't make sense. But it works. And I don't want to go back and redo that. I really only realized how much better I could have made it after I had finished most of it, or at least most of what you see now. I could go back and change it, but right now I need to keep powering through, working on the features to get to that minimum viable product. But despite how thrown together it is, I'm proud of the result. Yeah, it's clumsy, it's thrown together, it's like a patchwork quilt of code that should unravel at any minute, but doesn't. Still, it's mine. I made it for my first game, and while I do need to pick up the pace because the month's almost over and I don't have all the core features in, I'm still happy with it. And I'm looking forward to working on what comes next, which is going to be a little bit of 3D modeling, since that'll be essential to actually doing this. I can't use the asset store for everything. In fact, I'd like to use as little as I can. Again, so far I've used the standard assets from Unity, and that's been it, but we'll see in the future. No shame in grabbing public domain trees and all that. But yeah, no catchphrase. I am looking forward to seeing what you have in the future, whenever that is. Again, loved Artsy Fartsy Friday. Man, video game art is awesome. I wish I were an artist. But for now, I'm happy with being a sort of programmer, developer, person, designer, and whatever other titles. Anyway, see you later. High five.